Chapter 4. Just as Caroline realized that the previous night's events were true, Lucius had finally awoken. That was quite the dream I had last night, he thought before looking at his surroundings, realizing he was not at Vincent's home, nor was he alone. "You're even more handsome up close," the mermaid he had seen in his dream said. She gave him a smile, showing off her pearly white teeth. "And I think I'm still sleeping," Lucius replied, trying to understand what was happening. "What do you mean?" "Last I checked, mermaids were simply parts of fairy tales and not real. I guess one learns something new every day. So if this is real, who are you and how did I get here?" "My name is Maria, and this is my home. You came to me after hearing my song, and I gave you the ability to breathe underwater with the Egeria powder that was on my lips when we kissed. Listen, you seem like a nice mermaid, but I should probably return to land now." "But why? You just arrived here, and I don't even know your name." "I am Lucius Anderson, and I have people above who will be very confused and concerned about where I am. My sister is getting married tomorrow, and her husband-to-be is my closest friend." "Well, it sounds as though your sister and friend have those who will keep them company. I have no one else, so it would be better if you stayed here with me." "I'm sorry, but I do not think that is how that works." "Will you at least spend the next couple of days with me?" Maria begged. "I suppose I can," Lucius answered, hoping not to offend or anger her. "Thank you! You're gonna love it here!" Maria exclaimed. "As soon as night falls and she is asleep, I'm getting away from this place and back to the surface," Lucius thought. Back on land, Caroline spent nearly all day in the library, searching desperately for knowledge about mermaids. No man is able to resist the song from a mermaid. If someone steals something from a mermaid or captures one, the mermaid is now their servant and owes them a wish. There is no known weakness of the mermaid. Despite the copious amounts of books she had searched through, she felt underwhelmed as there was not a single mention of how to call upon a specific mermaid. If only some of these books were more recent, she thought sadly as she read "The Last Sighting of a Mermaid was 1813" from one of the books. She closed the heavy book and set it down on the table with a little too much force, causing the small vase next to it to fall. Caroline quickly caught it before it fell to the ground, but not before most of the water spilled on her sleeves and forearms. "I suppose this is a sign that I should go to bed," Caroline thought in dismay as she looked at her drenched sleeves. She slowly began to walk to the doors to turn in for the night, only to be met with a great surprise as she was about to turn the knob. Her sleeves and lower arms were now completely dry and did not look like they had just been soaked with nearly an entire vase full of water. "What in the world?" Caroline questioned in shock as she stared at her now dry sleeves. Her mind started spinning, and she recalled a book title she had seen earlier that day. She ran back to the stack of books she had looked through and pulled out a thin green book titled "Underwater Plants and Their Abilities." "Perhaps this one may have an answer I'm seeking," Caroline thought, her heart racing as she opened the book and flipped through the pages. "It is impossible for a human to become a mermaid, but there are ways that they can gain their abilities, even if they are only temporary. If prepared correctly, a powder made from Egeria can give someone different powers. This includes the ability to breathe underwater, always feel their desired temperature in the water, become dry in seconds, not need to sleep or eat, understand sea creatures' languages, and even feel the presence of mermaids in the same sea when consumed, either through the mouth or bloodstream. However, the first time a mermaid uses the powder, they will be in a coma for 8 hours as their body accepts it. Afterward, whenever they are in the water, there will be a light shimmer to their skin that will slowly dim as the effects of the powder wear off, usually 2 or 3 days," Caroline read. Without a second thought, Caroline ran to her bedroom, taking the book with her. She locked the doors and walked to the violet pitcher and basin beside the vanity. "He will answer my remaining questions," Caroline thought as she poured some of the cold water from the pitcher into the basin. After rolling up her sleeve, Caroline placed her hand and forearm into the water. At first, it was quite cold, as the water had been sitting in the pitcher for the entire day. But it became a warm, comforting temperature within seconds. His skin, that was submerged in the water, also now had a light, shimmering effect. Caroline then quickly removed her hand from the basin, and it immediately became dry. I certainly never thought that something like this would happen a week ago. Caroline thought as she removed a pin from her hair to let a single blonde lock free. She then tested it the same way she had with her hand, and just as before, her hair came out of the basin completely dry. One question left, she thought before submerging her face into the water. As the book suggested, she could breathe just as she usually would, and her face was dry after she removed it from the water. The mermaid must have had some of that powder on her lips, and it ended up in my blood when she bit me. Caroline realized as she looked at where the mermaid had bitten her the previous night. She then thought back to when the mermaid kissed Lucius and grimaced upon comprehending what else may have happened. Lucius must have had those abilities, meaning he's likely still alive. Caroline picked up the book again and started to walk to the library. However, before she could get too far, she ran into Jessica. "Miss Anderson, why are you still awake and dressed?" Jessica asked. "Oh, Jessica, you will never believe what I just learned," Caroline replied, excited to share the news. "If this is about mermaids again," Jessica began. "I can breathe underwater," Caroline unexpectedly blurted out. "Pardon me? I apologize, but I found this book, and after a little experimentation, I realized that everything is true," Caroline explained as she opened the book to the page she had been studying. "You actually believe all of this?" "Yes, everything mentioned on that page happened to me. Is Vincent home yet?" "No. Besides, it is known to be bad luck for the bride and groom to see each other before the wedding." "My brother was captured by a mermaid, and that is what you are most concerned about right now?" "Miss Anderson, please stop talking about mermaids. It was all simply a dream." "Then how do you explain this?" Caroline challenged as she showed Jessica her left arm. "You must have moved it against something that cut it when you were asleep." "But the mark is in the exact shape of a bite. How could I get it any other way? Also, I think there still may be a chance to save Lucius. If we postpone the wedding—" "Miss Anderson, that is enough!" Jessica demanded before she placed her hand on Caroline's forehead. "It seems as though you are coming down with something. I request that you let me return that book to the library while you go off to bed. You do not want to be yammering about mermaids and silly stories on your wedding day. I will also bring you some tea to help you sleep." "But," Caroline began, "this conversation is over," Jessica said firmly as she left with the book. "Perhaps there is a reason I was taught not to argue at school," Caroline thought defeatedly as she returned to her room.